During the month of March, the North Penn School District celebrates music in our schools throughout the district. Teachers and students engage in a variety of activities to recognize the joy and the importance of music. And we in the North Penn School District have the pleasure of being recognized as one of the most successful programs in the state at each scholastic level. Our students achieve recognition for their school musical talents and efforts. On today's program, we will take a closer look at the music program of the North Penn School District, its successes, and talk with those who helped to make it a success. Joining us today will be Jan Barnt, Don Souter, Judy Souders, and Jill Swavely, who represent the band, choral, and orchestra and music teachers of the North Penn Schools. We will also have the pleasure of enjoying some performances from the North Penn students. So please stay with us as we bring you celebration of music in our schools. Hello and welcome to this month's edition of A Closer Look. I'm your host, Ted Heller. Joining me now are two teachers from the North Penn Music Department, band instructor Don Souter and string instructor Judy Souders, who split their time between Inglewood and Gwinnett Square Elementary Schools. Thank you both for joining us today.
You're welcome.
As we start getting into the background of all our music teachers, I was curious what got us all interested in getting into the music field to begin with. Judy?
Well, when I was younger, I started with piano lessons, I guess in the 3rd grade, because I wasn't as fortunate as these children are in having a pick of strings or band instrument to choose from. And I enjoyed it very much, and when I got to high school, desired to join the orchestra, but they didn't need any more piano players, so I was handed a violin and said, here, you'll play violin. And that became my love, and I decided to major in it in college and went on from there.
Did your parents encourage you, or was it your own doing?
I guess it was a little bit of both. My parents were always very supportive of whatever I did, and especially in the field of music. They really were behind me and sat through a lot of practice sessions and attended all of my recitals and concerts. And then when I was in high school, actually, it was an inspiration of one of my teachers that kind of gave me the impetus to investigate what it would be like to become a music major in college. And that was my stepping stone into what I'm doing now.
Do you still play?
Yes, I play. I am associated with the North Penn Symphony Orchestra, and I'm also involved as a substitute performer with the North Penn String Quartet, and also do some weddings on the side, too.
Do you still have your piano skills?
I do still play. My skills probably are not as honed as they used to be, because when I do practice, it's the violin right now.
Okay. Don, what got you started in music?
Well, my parents were very musical, and they wanted me to enjoy the same pleasures they had. So when I was in 2nd grade, my parents said, would you like to play something? I said, yes, I would like to play the trombone. Well, of course, when you're 2nd grade, your arms aren't long enough to play the trombone, so the next thing was the trumpet closest to that. I started in 2nd grade playing the trumpet. I had a music teacher, an old gentleman, named Mr. Grove. And he just enjoyed playing. He played baritone. He never taught me the fingerings. He wrote everything in for me the first 2 years, and I learned absolutely nothing. I could play the trumpet, but I had to follow the fingering charts. And I later took lessons from a man most of you know, Jerry Kriebel, who was in this district a number of years ago, a fine trumpet player. And he practically started back at ground zero with me, and I made my way through what was then elementary school. We went up to 8th grade at that time, and then we went down to the high school, which happened to be Souderton High School. And a fine gentleman, band director by the name of Maurice Folk, was the reason why I went into music. A fine gentleman. He introduced me to all the things that music has to offer, and I decided this is something I think I would like to do. And he helped me choose colleges, and that's how I got started.
Do you still play the trumpet?
Yes, I play the trumpet as much as I can. I'm in a jazz band, a 17-piece jazz band. We play occasionally, not as often as I would like, but it's enjoyment. I play in a Dixieland group also, which is a lot of fun. And
why do we perform in these groups, even though we teach during the day music all the time? Why do we continue? Why do you find that important for your job, that you continue to play?
Well, I think especially in the field of strings, it keeps my fingers going all day, and obviously it's not the same type of music that we're playing in the symphony, but I think it's important also as a role model for the children to let them know that while I am a teacher, I am also a musician. And I think that's important for them, because hopefully one of these days the North Penn Symphony will welcome a lot of our students into their ranks.
Thanks. Don?
I play for the sheer enjoyment of playing. I just love to play trumpet, any instrument as a matter of fact, but of course trumpet being my major instrument, it's a nice outlet for your emotions, and it's enjoyable.
Where did you have your education, your formal training at college? Where did you go?
I started in Mansfield. I had my Bachelor of Science degree in music education from Mansfield University, and then my graduate work was done through Temple, Penn State, and some courses at Villanova.
Okay. And Judy?
I graduated from Immaculata College in Paoli and did my graduate work at Westchester University, and did my Suzuki training at Ithaca College in New York.
Okay. At what age do you start your students in the string program?
Well, we begin in kindergarten with the Suzuki program, which gets them started obviously at a very young age. And then in third grade, they're able to choose, that's only with violin in kindergarten. But
I have a 5-year-old son, Luke, at home, and he's going to go into kindergarten next year. Are the instruments smaller for them to use, or do they have to use the big instruments?
Now that's what's so nice about it, because they are all sized down to the size of the child, and as the child grows, they are given a larger instrument to use.
Okay. Are there rental programs that make it easier, or do parents go out and buy the instruments at that point?
No, there are rental programs that that they can lease the instrument from, and at the time when a child has grown out of the instrument that he is currently using, then there's just an exchange that is done until they get to a full size.
So what happens after kindergarten, once they start on the violin?
Well, then we continue in first and second grade as well with the kindergartners, but if a child hasn't started in kindergarten, then they're able to join us in third grade with a more traditional method of teaching them. It's not by rote as we do in kindergarten, but they learn to read music right away.
If they start in third grade, they're not behind the 8 ball then by missing 3 years of training already?
No, obviously it's nicer if they could start in kindergarten. They do get, a little bit more experience and become, more strong players, and are kind of like the cornerstone of the orchestra. But no, it's not that they're behind at all.
Okay, Don, what grade or age do you start?
Well, we start in 4th grade, mainly because the child is then physically large enough to hold an instrument. We do not have quarter-size or half-size instruments. Our clarinets are full size, our trumpets are full size, and so forth. And we find in 4th grade they're mature enough to be able to play a band instrument. They're big enough to hold the instrument, and they realize the responsibility that instrument entails, practice mainly, and that's when we find it's the best time to start. Do
districts, not just North Penn, do other districts start at the same grade level?
Most of them do, yes. Some districts will start at 5th grade, but majority of them today found 4th grade is the best time to start.
What about the little boy or girl who has the short arms and they want to play trombone? Is there an option for them?
Well, that's a real problem.
Okay.
We don't discourage them from trying, because some of these kids, when they get to 5th and 6th grade, they really grow. I mean, they have growth spurts and they can handle these instruments. And the beginning method in trombone, we don't use the 6th position very much.
Okay.
So we do let them try trombone. If that's what they want to play, that's what we have them do.
Judy, how many students do you have involved in your program?
I guess totally between the two buildings, I have about 160 or so, and I see them twice a week. So that's double a caseload of over 320 students I see a week.
Now, is that large numbers for North Penn or any other surrounding district?
I would say pretty much so. I know some of the other districts, you were saying about when do they start in other districts. When I go to conferences and to the Suzuki seminars, a lot of the districts do not start children in kindergarten as we do. We are very, very fortunate in the North Penn School District to have a Suzuki program available for our children. Also, a lot of them do not start in third grade for the strings. They start in fourth or fifth grade along with the band instruments. So once again, I feel very fortunate that we can start our children in the kindergarten and in the third grade.
Don, how many students do you have involved in your program?
I have about 210 instrumentalists divided between beginners and advanced students. And I have a band of 103 this year, and the rest of them are beginning students. And they'll be in a building band at the end of the year, the beginners. So everybody gets the chance to play in a band during the school year.
How often will your students meet for practice?
Okay, they have a lesson, a half-hour lesson once a week, and the people that are in the band have an hour band practice before school from 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning once a week also, which starts, the band program usually starts in October. When they get back in, they get settled, we start the band program, and it goes right through to our concert, which is the end of April, early May.
Judy, you mentioned you practice 2 times, or they practice 2 times?
They get 2 lessons a week with me, with all the string teachers, yes.
Now that we have a nationally televised audience with millions of people watching and parents watching, how much should a child practice every day? For how long? Your thoughts on that, Judy?
Well, we have a poster hanging in the music room in Inglewood that says only practice on the days that you eat. So I think that kind of gives you our idea of what our philosophy is. Technically, when the beginners start in third grade, we recommend 15 minutes 5 times a week. And as that goes through the year, then we graduate to 20, and by the end of their third grade year, hopefully we're up to 30 minutes. And certainly for the older students, the minimum would be 30 minutes a day, at least 5 times a week. They can eat on the other 2 days, though.
Don?
That's about the same for us. I tell my students to practice 20 minutes a day is fine, and in order to be successful, you must practice at least 5 times a week. If you go less than 5 times a week, it's really, you have problems. Problems with your embouchure, with your lip muscles, and remembering things.
What if mom and dad are at home saying you got to practice for hours? Should we really encourage students practicing for hours at home a day?
Well, I think that might be pushing it a little too much. I think if we can get a child to do the recommended amount that we're talking about right now. There are some children I know that are very serious about their music that do spend the hours on their practicing, but I think that a lot of these children are very involved in many extracurricular activities, and I always suggest to them, since we do start school a little later now than when it was on an early, we had early start schools and late start schools, we all start at the same time, and I recommend to children who are not involved in bass program or something like that to try to get their practicing done before they come to school so that it will not interfere with the athletics or the gymnastics or swimming or anything like that.
Same? Or?
The child today is involved in a lot of things. There's a lot of different avenues they can pursue. There's a lot of things for them to do. But we find that if they can practice 20 minutes either before their evening meal or after their evening meal, what they should do is establish a time for them to practice. This should be your practice time, like before meals or after meals. And then that becomes a part of their everyday schedule. And then they seem to do that pretty well.
What instruments are sometimes the instruments that you get too much of, and which ones are the ones you'd like to have more of?
Well, mine happens to be the flute. We have a lot of flutes. We don't need a lot of flutes, but it's a nice little case. It's about this big. It fits in the pocket, fits in the backpack, and it's a nice instrument for the boys and girls to play. And a lot of times parents encourage students to do that. Well, we have a lot of flutes. You know, I have 18 flutes in my band.
What would you like more of?
I'd like more low brass. Low brass are not as popular. By that I mean the slide trombone, the baritone horn, the French horn, and of course the tuba.
Sure.
These are the instruments which we do not get a lot of. We need these. They're always needed in the bands in middle school. They're needed in the high school band, for the marching band, for the concert band, and for the jazz band. And sometimes we try to push these, try to tell parents the value of their child taking an instrument. They have a better chance down the line as they go through the system. to play these instruments. And saxophones, too, are as popular, I think, as the flutes right now. Maybe it's because of President Clinton, I don't know, or maybe it's because of the MTV and so forth, but we have a lot of saxophones.
Judy, how about yourself?
Well, we have an abundance, I guess, of violins. In our orchestra, we have about 82 children, and about half of those are violins. And it would be very nice to have, we only have, you know, the violin, viola, cello, and bass in the string orchestra, and you definitely need the lower instruments, and of course that middle viola that is always a must to have.
What rewards are out there for students performing in the band program or the orchestra or the chorus, for that matter? What rewards are out there for them at the elementary level?
Well, there's the rewards of being able to, self-satisfaction is one of the biggest rewards of playing any instrument. Being part of a group, being part of a middle school band, a jazz band. Today they travel, they go to different schools, they become associated with all different kinds of people. Always seems to be the good class of people, the people that want to do things, want to go places. They have the high school groups. Today's high school, as you know, the high school band travels all over, and the chorus travels all over, and the jazz band and so forth. There's a lot of opportunities for them to play. However, in order to be in these groups, they have to start in the elementary school, and this is where we're very fortunate to have a program we can do that.
Judy?
I think it gives them, first of all, intrinsically a feeling of self-worth. I know just after last week's Music in Our Schools assembly that we did, I was talking to the children about how they felt about their performance, and one little girl just sparkled as she said to me, "It was awesome." And I think that kind of summed it all up for me in just that very simple word, "It was awesome." And they do have a feeling of pride, and a lot of the children said when they went back in their classroom, their class gave them a standing ovation and applauded for them, and that made them feel very, very good about themselves and their accomplishment. And plus, as Don said about the performing groups on the higher levels, there's the wonderful orchestra program both in the middle school and in the senior high school.
Do you find it difficult to split your time between the two schools that you have to travel to? Don?
No, I don't. Gwynedd Squares is larger than Inglewood, so it gets 3 days out of the week, and Inglewood gets the other two. However, we do split days. We share rooms. So our schedule has a lot to do with the room at Inglewood. When she's not there, I can be there. When I'm there, she cannot be there. Now, we're fortunate at Gwynedd Square to each have an instrumental room, a string room, and a band room, so we can make some changes with that, do a lot of things with that. But
do you find it difficult at all? Or
no,
challenging?
actually, the week is divided right in half. I have 2.5 days at Inglewood and 2.5 days at Gwynedd Square. For some reason, my numbers have always been more or less equal, so that it wasn't that I needed more days at one building or the other. So it has worked out very, very nicely for me.
Okay. I would like to thank Don Souter and Judy Souders for joining us on the program today. As we head to break, let's enjoy the performances from the combined orchestra, band, and choral students from Inglewood and Gwynedd Square Elementary Schools.
Music is a way of learning, integrating all disciplines of education, creating a learning environment where children want to learn. Music is an important part of the classroom curriculum. Children experience history and world cultures as they listen to and perform music of other times and places.
What music means to me is to get a better education, making the sounds of the music and playing the notes.
Education in the arts promotes higher-level thinking skills by fostering creativity, imagination, self-discipline, teamwork, and self-esteem. Involvement in a music program leads to higher SAT scores.
The music program at North Penn has provided me with the skills I need to either pursue a career in music or even a hobby. I know that the North Penn music program will have provided me with the skills that I need to do so.
Music instills a sense of cultural identity and pride in our children. Music is the beat of education.
Music is language we all understand. Music has wings, it can soar.
Music is strength and a gentle hand, all of these things and more. Music, speak to me now. I don't want your magic to end. And music, speak to me now. Think of me as your friend.
Music is magic, a flame burning bright.
Music can open a door. Music is singing, a voice in the night. All of these things and more. Music, speak to me now. I don't want your magic to end. And music, speak to me now. Think of me as your friend. Music is a part of all of our lives. It makes our dreams come true. Music, speak to me now. I don't want your magic to end. And music, speak to me now. Think of me as your friend. Music, you're my friend.
Welcome back to A Closer Look. We are talking about the North Penn Music Program. You just saw a performance by the Penndale 8th and 9th grade vocal ensemble, instructed by Jan Bart, who joins us now. Welcome to the show, Jan. And joining us also from Gwynedd Square Elementary School is vocal teacher Jill Swavely. Thanks for joining us on the show today, Jill. Jan, at the middle school level, what are the demands vocally different than what they teach at the elementary level?
Well, the first thing that happens in junior high or in the middle school is the fact that the boys are now going to read the bass clef. So when I introduce the music to the students, I have to make them familiar with the fact that the boys are going to be looking at a whole different place in the music than they did before. some of the other things that we run into is the awkwardness of the age where they're not always comfortable and they're easily embarrassed. And these are the things that have to be considered in both choosing the music and the way that we deal with the students at that age. So if they're going to continue to love music, it's going to be largely because we are handling them in such a way to make them feel free and comfortable with what we do in there.
I'm going to jump around a little bit. What got you into music?
I've just been telling my classes this, that when I was in 3rd grade, I came home from school and I said to my dad at dinner time, I'm going to be a music teacher. And from 3rd grade on, there was never a question in my mind. It was just, I went to my own music classes in elementary school, and I knew exactly that's where I wanted to go. It was as simple as knowing this is what I wanted to do. Never did I think of anything else.
Jill, what about you? What got you into music?
Well, I started playing the piano when I was 6 years old in 1st grade. And I worked with one teacher for 3 years, and then the best move of my life was the second teacher that I studied with, Miriam Heisler. She took me through high school, and in my junior year of high school, I entered a piano competition to play with the Reading Symphony Orchestra. And in the summer of that, after that competition, we played an outdoor concert at Bindenwood outside of Reading. And it was just the neatest experience of my life to be up on the stage at night with the stars shining. And at that time, I decided I wanted to be a music teacher like Mrs. Heisler, and she directed me and helped me choose my college. I went to Westchester University for my music degree, and then I studied with Benjamin Witten at college, and he was an excellent teacher. And I took my master's training at Kutztown. I don't have a master's in music, I have a master's in elementary ed.
Jan, what about yourself?
I went to Lebanon Valley for my undergrad, and I went to Temple for my master's degree.
Good move. Temple's always a good move. Jill, what kind of demands are placed on you as a music teacher at the elementary level?
I feel time is my biggest demand. I don't have enough time to work with the students the way I'd like to. I teach over 700 students at Gwinnett Square, so you can see that my days are full.
You're 700 students from, is that K through 6th grade?
Kindergarten through 6th grade.
And how many times a week will they meet?
Well, kindergarten gets 25 minutes a week, and from 1st grade through 6th grade, they get 50 minutes of music time a week. So sometimes it's split between 2 25-minute periods, and sometimes I have them just once a week for 50 minutes.
Jen, how about yourself?
I really agree with Jill. The real issue for us, at least as choral teachers, is the fact that we have so many students and so little time. I teach 455 students, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, and then have extra groups that meet after school. But the fact that I see them only twice a cycle in such large groups makes it really difficult, because we need to be sure that they can read. And it's very difficult to teach a class of 35 to read music or improve their reading with those numbers.
In your performance ensemble, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Like if you had to get a certain voice part, what would you want to hear more at that level?
Definitely the male voice, but it's very developmental. The boys at this age are coming into their own, and they're getting some nice sounds, but they're not real strong. Their vocal strength is yet to come. So the really interesting thing would be to have more numbers of voice. That would really help.
At what age are the boys starting to find a different voice?
It's interesting. At the beginning of 8th grade, I had chosen some music, and I knew the boys in the beginning of 8th grade could not sing it because their ranges were too limited. By this time, I'm using that piece of music, and their ranges are such that they can now sing many more notes, many more sounds than they did at the beginning of the year. 9th grade is wonderful. They're really moving then.
Here at North Penn School District, how has the music program changed at the elementary level and at the middle school level over the years? How has it changed, Jill?
Well, I've been with the district 18 years. Actually, we teach longer than we did when I first started. I have more time with the kids, so that's a good thing. We also have more students to teach because our numbers in the district keep growing. Another way that my teaching situation has changed with the influx of students, many of us are teaching off of carts, which makes our job a little more difficult. We're still trying to do the same activities and have the same program, but it's a lot harder to go room to room than it is if they come to us and we can be better prepared for them.
At the junior high level, it's the opposite. We used to teach 3 times the cycle, and the numbers I taught were about half of what I teach now. So now I'm teaching twice as many kids, 1 time less the cycle. So it's for us, it's been a real cutback.
Mm-hmm. What do you feel is your most important task as a music teacher at your appropriate level, Jan?
Jill and I were talking about this earlier, and I think that the thing we want to do is teach kids to love music, give them the opportunity to experience it. At my level, it's very important to me that they really know how to read music so they have a life skill. If they don't, they can leave there and never be interested in singing again because they have nothing concrete. They need to learn how to read our language.
Mm-hmm. How about Jill?
Well, I feel my first and most important job is to have the students love music, because if they learn to love it when they're young, they will continue to love it through adulthood. I want them to be good consumers of music, meaning that if they never do anything other than just go out and buy CDs to listen to, they understand what good music is, and they have a lot of good choices to make when they go to be a consumer of music.
In our first half of the show, I had Don Souter and Judy Souders, who, by the way, are not related. They spend some of their free time still in the music field. When you have free time, what do you like to do in your free time?
I have a choir that I direct, so I'm still involved in the directing kind of thing. Aside from that, I play and I do a lot of listening. We have season tickets to the Philly Orchestra, and my daughters and I have tickets to the ballet, so I'm pretty much a consumer.
Still keep on going on the music?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Jill?
Well, I'm a mother now of 2 fairly young children, so my time is divided between being a mother and being a teacher. But I do try to play in church whenever I'm asked, and I don't have a steady job, but I'm like a fill-in. I'm the alternate accompanist and the alternate piano player at church. I like to listen to music, and I do attend concerts, and whenever I can.
Okay. Jill, today you have brought with you a very special guest. Can you tell us about her?
Claire is the first child prodigy that I have ever been a part of knowing and I guess recognizing at school. Last year, Claire came to me when she was in 1st grade and asked if she could play the piano for me, and I fully expected, one hand going one direction and the other hand, like most 1st graders would play, one hand at a time. And Claire sat down, and I think maybe the first thing she played for me was a Bach 2-part invention. And for those of you that don't know the significance of that, I probably didn't play a Bach 2-part invention until I was in junior high school. So it's a very high level of playing that you need to do that. So I questioned how did you learn to play like this? And she just learned by listening to music and basically was teaching herself. Her parents were not musical in that they couldn't teach her to do this. She was really learning on her own. So I recommended that she start studying with another teacher, and she is now currently studying at the Settlement School in Philadelphia.
Wow.
It's incredible. It is
impressive.
incredible.
What grade is she in?
She's in 2nd grade. She's 7 years old.
Okay. Do 2nd graders normally play piano?
I have a lot of students that play piano, and a lot of them start in 1st grade, but I don't
Not
have
at
any
that
other.
level.
She is playing things now that many college piano students are playing.
Okay. Right now, I'd just like to say thanks for joining us today, Jill and Jan, from your busy schedules to join us today for this interview. And that is all for this edition of A Closer Look. I would like to thank our guests, Jan and Jill. I'd also like to thank Don Souter and Judy Souders. And thank you for joining and taking part in this interview. Also, thanks to the music students of Inglewood and Gwinnett Square Elementary Schools, and also the Pendale Vocal Ensemble for their performances. For North Penn Television, I'm Ted Heller, and now, without further ado, Miss Claire Huang Si. We'll see you next time.